Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus. One more time, I'm back again. Yes, indeed. You see, it is just this important to me. Your love for yourselves is just that important to me. Because I know that once you really truly love yourself, then you'll be able to love everyone else. Basically, ladies and gentlemen, if I want to be more specific, you know, my whole point here today is to talk about liberation, is to talk about freedom, is to talk about life for you. And I like to speak on terms which makes this possible because I take it out of my hands and I put it in the hands of a power that's bigger than me or any of us. And I call it an invisible power that is responsible for all existence. We can't see it, but the evidence is here. And I say that power is so fantastically righteous that if given an opportunity for that power to live in us, and I say live in us, the question might cross your mind, well, they didn't need us to create the earth, then why does the Spirit need us in order to make life right on earth? I say because it has given us choice. It has, that power that created us has given us choice. We might not want to live like heaven on earth. We might want to live like something else. That's what path we've been on all the time, is walking after something else. And yet that spirit is still there and is still available to anyone. And when I say that how evil and cunning the system has been, it has even taken the message of the church and corrupted it in such a way that it has no real value as far as liberation in God's sense, the Spirit God of love is concerned. Now, you might not have given that too much thought because basically you have been allowed to believe that the church has been going contrary to the state and has been advocating a higher power, God, Jesus Christ, especially when it comes down to Christianity. Well, to give you a better example of how cunning that was, we look at Fox News. Fox News is what we call a state news. Everybody else can listen to other people speak. Let's be more specific, more direct. We can listen to Washington speak, especially with the presidency. Everybody, all other news medias can listen. All the cameras can listen and pick it up. And Fox News camera can pick it up. The other news cameras except Fox will come and share with us what happened. They will show us in pictures what happened. Give us audio of what happened. The president can change what he said in his own mind and start delivering out that he didn't say this. And all of the other evidence is available to all the people who might want to see it. But at Fox News, they only show confirming what the president has said. So that's what you call a state news service. Your information is limited. They only tell you what the state wants you to know. And that's the same thing when it comes down to religion and the God that you have been serving. It has been shaped to do the same thing. It only tells you, allows you to believe in whatever you believe in, up to the extent that it does not cause them any trouble. Now, the evidence that what I'm stating to you is true is that there have been those who have walked according to the dictates within the limitations that have been set by the state in regards to religion or church. They have followed the guidelines, but by virtue of being called by a higher calling than the founding fathers or the Constitution or you, but a higher calling based upon the concern for people who suffer. So they were responding to a call that addressed the needs of those that suffer. And when they did that, it was more or less turning a light over onto the state. In other words, it was going beyond what the state had permitted it to do. And individuals who took that path, who went beyond what the state permitted it to do, in other words, who went beyond the limitations and started sharing the truth, which was not permitted. And they were usually killed. People like Abraham Lincoln. Many of you are familiar with Abraham Lincoln a little bit. Some of you are familiar with the Kennedy brothers. Some of you are. Some of you are familiar with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And some of you are familiar with Malcolm X. These are men, there were others, but these are just to name a few of men who stepped beyond the limitations. And the evidence that it is not permitted is that they were killed. So what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, just like the state has its own news service that tells only what the powers that be wants out there, in spite of everything else that's right before the people, what they see, what they hear, they've been conditioned to, it doesn't matter. And so when the state will look at the religion and look at the church and recognizes that it does not go beyond its limitations, then what it does is serves the state in limiting the ability to people to step outside of the borders and see the truth by giving them a representation of a spirituality that serves the purpose of the state. And ladies and gentlemen, this is why you can see America being reduced to the level that it has been reduced to today, where lies are now being considered as alternative facts, where, boy. Well, anyway, I was saying, I had made a couple of notes. I got a little carried away there. Let me see, there's a couple of things I want to mention here. I got this bug in my eye, something like that. Christians got the different views. Republicans, yeah, you know, and I think, I don't know if I mentioned it today, but in that little argument there, I wanted to say about how they got you where you can serve God, be a Christian, and love Jesus Christ, all of that, and supposedly speak of a higher representation, but the evidence that knocks that down is the fact that you split God up, you split Jesus up, you split the gospel up, you split that all up when you become a Republican and a Democrat. You split God up because these two have opposite and opposing views. And now you got God in the mix of that. If you were thinking, if you had any thoughts, I mean, it would be wonderful if you had been taught this, but you haven't been taught. Yet, if you had been taught to think, rather than just being programmed, you could see this yourselves. You could see what had happened, the limitation that had been put on you, the con that had been played on you. But since you couldn't see it and you didn't see it, then I have been given a stand here to tell you today that these kinds of things are happening, and that the power that is responsible for your existence wants you to know that it's happening. Not trying to do to the system all as ugly as it is compared to the wonderful thing that God wants you to have. Not trying to punish it like it would do to you. Like it kill you, it'll lock you up, do anything. But the only thing you want to do is to let all of this darkness know that it's okay. It's okay out here. All that you want is over here. The only thing that you cannot have over here you cannot have superiority over God. Even though you can't see God, God still is superior over you. Now over here in heaven, it is your desire to experience heaven by doing those things that permits heaven to exist. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to you. Sometimes people ask the question, why would one want to live forever? I asked that question. I heard, my first thought was no one knows, but someone heard me ask that question and they just spoke out, but because people are afraid of dying. Afraid of dying. There's nothing more simpler and more easy in the world to do than to die. Now, it's a struggle sometimes to live, but to die, if people knew, let me tell you, I remember once I died. I was going out and I went to a club. It was a karaoke club. I used to go out there and I used to sing. I wanted to make people feel good by seeing me entertain them, and they make me feel good by giving me that applause. And so this particular night, I got dressed up, really looking pretty good, I thought. And I went to the club, but this night I decided I was not going to perform. I was going to sit back and observe my peers, to listen to them because they're good. And so I found me a comfortable spot, sat back, crossed my legs, and as the show was going on, I was really enjoying myself. And all of a sudden, something started happening strange to me. I didn't know what it was, but I started feeling funny. I started feeling like something was swelling up inside of me. I almost feel like, you know what a balloon is like when it's blowing up? I felt something like that, but I didn't feel like I was actually blowing out. I didn't see nothing like that. It's just like I felt that pressure. And it got so frightening until I stood up like something said, you better stand up. And I stood up right fast, and by the time I stood up, I was dead. I didn't even know it. I was gone. Didn't know a thing. But there were some angels around, and they started doing stuff to me. And I guess they brought me back because suddenly I started hearing people saying, come on, brother. Come on back, brother. It's going to be all right. Come on, brother. Come on back, brother. It's going to be all right. And not only that, I had cops all around. And then I heard a siren coming down the street from somewhere. And I'm thinking, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let me tell you something. That's a strange scene. Now I'm going to leave it there. But I just want to let you know how simple and how quick death is. You see a guy jump off a building, people are more afraid than the guy that's jumping off the building. The guy that's jumping off the building has made the decision. So between the jump and whatever he's going to collide with, between that, I mean, it's all on what's in his head. Because the moment that collision happens, it's over. So if he had the coolness to smoke a cigarette on his way down, that would have been cool. It really is the simplest and the most easiest thing in the world to do. The world don't want you to know that. The world wants you to fear the death. Fear death, because see, that is the ultimate control that it has over you. All the world, the ultimate control that it has over all the people on earth is that they will kill them. The world, the powers of the world will kill you. And they got you so afraid to die till they can control you. They control you to the ultimate. Do you know that if you knew the truth and you were not afraid to die, they couldn't tell you nothing? I mean, they could not tell you a thing. But why would you say they got it set up like this? Well, it's as obvious can be. So, What am I saying to you in relationship to this message that I give to you about living, about God and what is prepared for you to live in heaven? Yes, my friends, and all of the things that I have said to you are true. In relationship to coming on this planet and having the knowledge that I have shared with you, and living in a society or coming up in a society like the one that we're in, how is a person that's led by the Spirit of love, the Spirit of God, supposed to respond in a situation like this? It is obvious how they're supposed to respond. What does oil do when you mix with water? It doesn't mix. It comes straight on back to the top, because it can't be anything but oil. When it comes down to being righteous, representing that God that you can't see, but you are the evidence thereof in the middle of all the darkness that the world can possibly produce, you will be just that, what you are. You can't. Oh, when I say you can't, I mean basically that you can't. Why? Because the decision has been made by you. You have made the decision. You have. This is another thing when I say about you have made the decision. When you want to know information about some legal situation, who would you call? Would you call a jailhouse lawyer? Or would you call a professional, an attorney? If your car had problems and you wanted to fix, would you call a shade tree mechanic or a professional? Well, we know sometimes those who don't have money can only get the shade tree. But if money was no problem, who would you call? The professional or the shade tree? You call the professional. And when it comes down to listening to people talk to you about God, who do you call? Do you call the one that the seminary has prepared for you? Or that the church has prepared for you? Or the one that God has qualified for you? You see, you got people who go to jail, sit up and think twice about the things that they've done. And a little bit about their history if they grew up in the church. And they start seeing themselves. Some of them see themselves as doing some good. Some of them seeing themselves jumping from one crime to another crime. In other words, they were using and abusing the folks before. That's what got them in jail. Now they're still thinking about using and abusing the folks and trying to stay out of jail. And they figure the church is the way to do it. And why do they figure that? Because they figure the church is nothing but a crooked tool anyway. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes down to the question, who do you listen to? Do you listen to one who has gone to church a lot and decided that he wanted to be a preacher, and they send him through a training period and eventually certify him? Or send him to a seminary or school and they go through a training exercise and then they certify him and send him out into the world? Or do you get one that God has grabbed and revealed himself to, shown himself, exposed his hand? I am God. There's no doubt any longer, not in this person, that I am. That I am. And then, having given this information, takes this one who has been obedient and sends him throughout the environment, throughout the wilderness, to expose himself by taking a message amongst the messages that are out there. Doing this, and at some later point in time, knowing what the church represents to one another, what it represents out there on the facade, then this one that God is qualifying put him on the political front to run for public office, advocating exactly what the other parts of the church have been talking about, represents God, represents Jesus, represents Christianity, represents love, represents life. And this one that God sends out there to run for public office advocates exactly that and nothing else but that. In other words, advocating heaven on earth. And it is so far from the thinking of people, even trying to run as a write-in was a difficult thing. But didn't do it just once. Several times. Ran for president of the United States, ran for governor, ran for United States senator, ran for mayor on the same platform. This wonderful, beautiful, fantastic heaven on earth God that wants it for you. I honestly tell you the truth, ladies and gentlemen, you know how when Donald Trump came off the scene and everybody was thinking about he was such a misfit to be running for office, and the TV cameras were on everything he said. I don't care how stupid it was, they were on it. He didn't really have to pay too much money for TV time because he got it free. To be honest and tell you the truth, that is the way I had anticipated that someone coming out there telling you about having your problems met, given careers that allowed everybody to work and to have education, universal, and health care and food and clothing, and I mean, your dreams coming true. In my mind, the cameras would have been saying, how are you going to do this? The people have been praying for this all their lives. Their history of their lives, their parents, their grandparents have all been praying for this. And now here's someone talking about running for office actually saying that we the people can produce this and it is the will of God that we do it. I'm thinking the cameras, I wouldn't have to be out there begging money trying to organize. I figured once the media mentioned that and showed a few advertisements, that everything would have been jumping. The telephone, the telegraphs, the internet, everything. And nothing jumped. But everything jumped around Trump. And look what it's got you. And so I don't have to bite my tongue when I stand up and talk to you because I know us. I know us. But this is not about condemning, it's about affirming that I know us. But this is not what I'm bragging about. I'm bragging about I know God. And I want you to know God too. Because I know those things that you've been praying for, that you want in your life. I know God is the answer. And I know the instrument, the tool is not you trusting in some Republican or some Democrat or some man or some woman or some black or some white. It's in you trusting in the Spirit, and the evidence that you back that Spirit is that you allowing that Spirit to live in you. You become the mouthpiece. You become the hands and the feet. You become the movement and the actions of that Spirit. And with that, you cannot. You, and what do I refer to when I say you? I'm talking about 8 billion people, 300 million of which are United States citizens. You guarantee that with your own action. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't have to bite my tongue by that. There's not an American, I don't care what institution you've been to. There's not a person outside of this country, I don't care where and who you've been brought up by. The only thing you can do with anything is parallel what I have just said, and the only way you can do that is because it would be real and it came from the source, and it will not be divided. Otherwise, you just talking. I want to thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I get to talking to you. I feel so comfortable. I feel so at home. I forget that you got other things to do, and I just keep on talking. Please forgive me, especially if you got other things to do, and yet I still want to thank you for giving me this your time. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus saying goodbye.